Hi, Erin. Welcome to the Retail Horror Podcast.
Hi, thank you. I'm super happy to be here.
I have to tell you, you're one of those people I wanted to interview for so long. I met you and heard you speak at UPP. There's been a ton of people from UPP on this because it was so inspiring. But your your I want to say speech, but you talking to everybody was so motivating and so inspirational. And I think I hounded you for a while, and then I circled back around. But I'm so grateful that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you. That was a great event. I loved that. There's like nothing better than hanging out with a whole bunch of women who have the grit and guts to start their own businesses and just always want to learn more. So yeah, for me, it's a huge treat to go out and get to hang out with those people. And I learn a lot always too.
Yeah.
So it's fun to share. I feel like since I've been doing this since the Jurassic period that I should impart my knowledge, but I always learn from the people that are coming up too. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think because I'm older as well, and I think being there around so much young energy and being open to learning, because I think a lot of people my age are like, nope, I'm fine, I'm doing it the way we've always done it. But I like that I am open-minded enough to be like taking in whatever you guys can give us. I will take, because I don't
Oh
want to
yeah.
be on the cell phone trying to figure out like what. Like, that's my biggest fear. Your
With
face
72-point type on your phone that people can read from across the
FaceTiming and
room.
all you're looking at is her ear. I can't. It's like, oh my God, that's that's exactly what I don't
It's
want
gonna
to do.
happen. It's a matter of time.
No, bite your tongue. So please tell everybody about yourself and your a little bit about your career, and then we'll get into your role at Stationary HQ.
Okay, so I started a design agency right out of college, like as soon as I graduated, which in retrospect feels like a totally stupid thing to do, but I was young and I didn't know any better. And I knew that I wanted to do things a certain way. And I knew I wanted to work with women. And I knew I didn't want to have to go into an office every day, all day, because I wanted to start a family. And so as soon as I graduated from college, I started this agency and quickly got pregnant with my first kid. And so then I hired someone so that when I had my daughter, I could just come in 3 days a week, which was perfect for me. And it just grew over time. And the agency, we were in Silicon Valley and we worked for all of the big dogs up here. And over the years, we hired moms who wanted to work flexible schedules too. And this is a long time ago. So there wasn't working from home
Yeah.
or hybrid. If you had a job, you went to an office, and it's really hard to be a mom who wants to care for her family and also have a stellar career. And so we created the environment that we wanted to occupy, basically. And it was great. God, I loved the women that I worked with. It was totally great. And that went on for, actually, the business still exists. So I formed a partnership. I started it originally, then formed a partnership with a good friend, and who's still a good friend. And a few years ago, I decided I was ready to do some new things and had been helping with Stationary HQ. My husband started Stationary HQ about 15 years ago, I think. And I had just been helping him with his communications a little bit in my spare time. And so I was ready for a change. And at the same time, he sold the company, and the new owners asked if I would come along and be full time with Stationary HQ and keep it going. And it was just great timing. It was perfect. So the business that I started is still going. Partway, probably 15 years ago, we got into licensed art and stationery, custom stationery, and had developed a brand and sold millions of cards literally through websites like Tiny Prints. We were one of Tiny Prints' first designers, and got into designing fabric and dishes and wall art. Yeah, so we had this whole other division. So we had client services for high-tech companies, and then we also had a licensed art division. I say had, those still exist. They're still happening today. And so that was a nice combination for someone like me who likes to do different things and mix it up a little bit, and have one stream of income that was service based and another stream of income that was passive. So, which passive income is royalties, where you sell your artwork once and continue to get paid for it for years and years and years, which is really nice if you can figure that model out. Um, so yeah, so a couple years ago, I left all that and went on to Stationery HQ full time. And that's been super fun. My job now is new product development and communications with our customers, and our customers are designers. Like I feel like they're my friends. Like I understand their businesses. I understand what they're trying to do. I talk to them all the time. I get messages, hey, do you guys make this? And if we don't, it goes on my list of things to talk about adding next quarter if it's feasible. Because if one designer wants it, maybe a lot of other designers might like it too. So I have to say, I totally love my job. It's pretty cool.
That's
So,
amazing.
and yeah, it is amazing. I didn't know if I could work for someone else after working for myself for so long. But I am left to my own devices. Basically, I was told, you seem to know what you're doing, so you just do your thing and let us know what resources you need. I'm like,
That's amazing.
okay,
Those are always
I
the
can do
best.
that. Yeah,
I
yeah, totally.
have to ask because you are a huge proponent, is that the right word, for women, and you're an advocate for women, and you love working with women and hiring women. Where does that passion come from? Because I just interviewed Amanda yesterday from Women Owned Wallet, and she also has that same passion. And I love that this interview is following that interview, because I just think it's so important, and I always love to hear where that passion comes from.
So I was raised by feminist parents. I'd say my mom was ahead of her time for sure. And then my dad was a firefighter. And so he worked shifts. So he would, work 24 hours and then be home for a couple days. So my dad took us to our games, cooked, cleaned. My parents shared the household responsibilities in a really fair and lovely way, and parenting responsibilities. And they both told me that I could be whatever I wanted. And so lucky me to start out like that.
Yeah.
And then as I was coming up, I started to feel some of the injustices of being a woman in business. When I was in college, I started out doing an internship at a design firm, and I met with a CEO about a branding project. And that shitbag asked me if I could go anywhere for dinner on his private plane, where would I like to go? And I said, and he's got pictures of his family on the credenza behind him. And I said, is my fiance invited to this dinner? And yeah. And he never took another call from me, and we lost the account because of that, because I didn't go on a date with this asshole. And so I definitely, I'm mad about I'm a happy person, but I'm really mad about a lot of stuff that women put up with. And so I guess I feel like, I have one life, and I want to have a lot of fun, and I want to be proud of some things that I do, but I also need to know that I'm leaving it a little better than it was when I got here. And because I feel so much kinship with women, and the struggles that I faced on my own as a woman make me really feel like it's important to prop up other women and help make it easier for the next generation of women than it has been for the generation before. And which right now is a hard time, honestly, to do that. But if we can each do a little bit, that adds up to a lot, right?
I listened to, I don't know if you listened to the Skinny Confidential podcast. It's Lauren Bostic and her husband, and they had on an attorney that was a politics attorney, and the whole conversation was about how women working in Washington, and just what you just explained, only it's super high level people that you're afraid to lose your job with. And I'm really grateful I never had these experiences, because I think I was in a restaurant, which you had people grab your ass, which is, nothing compared to something like that, or in retail, which is majority of the people I've worked for have been women. So I've been really lucky, but I talk to my friends that are in corporate situations, and that seems to be a very common thread.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. And the other piece of it, besides that we are always have to start from 5 steps behind a man in our same position. Women have a lot of amazing qualities um, that are. This is a little bit stereotypical, but they are part of the strengths of our gender, like our ability to create community. We're really good at that, and it comes from years and years of conditioning, but I think it's also biology, um, that we hold people close and care for each other. And in leadership, I mean, a leader who actually cares about their people, what could that person do for the world? How many less wars would there be if women were running everything?
Yeah.
That's not how we would solve problems with violence. So I just think that women are awesome, and I want us to take over.
I love that. That was one of the things, the takeaways from hearing you speak during UPP. The other was, which I'm totally going outside of the conversation, was about you speaking to, I think it was a manufacturer, and you're like, what are you doing? And like, you're like, I'm working. And they're like, well, I won't be in the office until like September. And you're like, excuse me. And I think you now take that month off, because, as I think, if I remember, the person said to you, like, it's going to be there when you get back. Like, it's not.
Right.
Have
Yes, that was my European client. Brilliant. Yes.
Where are you, and you still
Hmm.
continue to do this every year? Because I think you were just going off with
Yeah.
your best friend.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes, I still do it. If you set up a good business or a good career track, either way, you should be able to step away without it all coming crashing down. I really believe this, and it takes time and effort, and you need to be deliberate about the processes that you set up and the people that you surround yourself with. But I totally believe that all of us could take a month off and still be wildly successful at what we're doing. Yes,
So
and I had to learn that from
I
someone.
know everyone who's listening to this is going to ask, how the fuck do you do that? So, how the systems in place, and how do you, say for retailers, because most people listening are retailers.
Yeah,
How
right,
do you, I mean, I know we all step away and we go to the gift shows, and then we maybe tack on a couple days before that. So it ends up maybe being at longest 2 weeks. I think people,
right.
what are the systems in place in order for you to step away for a month? And when you do, are you completely gone, or do you check emails or answer some calls, or are you gone?
I'm gone for sure. Yeah. So the way that so the obvious choice is, if you're a retailer, then you have to have some good people working with you, right? That you trust to take care of things while you're gone. You got to think of, you're not going to go in November, December if you are a holiday based business. That's a bad time to leave. So I did always pick whatever the slowest month of the year is. And as a business owner, for years I stressed so hard when it would get slow. And then I started looking at the history of our financials, and that month was always slow. It was July, and it was always slow because that's when everyone goes on vacation, and it just is what it is. And so instead of freaking out and trying to change that, I was like, alternatively, I could prepare ahead of time, let my team know these are the things that need to happen while I'm gone. And I'll be looking forward to seeing your results when I get back. Here are the processes that we all agree are how we get from A to B in our company. We're all well trained. We know the answers to questions. And then enabling people and giving them your trust and allowing them to make decisions. Sometimes, even when you're not off for a month, the more you empower the people around you, the bigger break you're giving yourself. to be able to step away sometimes. And even if it's not for vacation, I mean, life throws us curveballs. There's just going to be times when you just can't be there.
Yeah.
So set yourself up so that it's not the end of the world.
I love more than anything that you just talked about empowering people, because I think a lot of people, and I've had people from HR and other people from operations, and the people that have the most successful stores are the people that have empowered their teams, because not only do they care for it like you, but they literally take ownership of it. It becomes just as important to them as it does to the owner. And I think a lot of owners hold things very tight and want to micromanage it and think they're actually doing their business a favor. And I can't stress it enough that you're not. You're actually holding your business back.
Totally. You're holding your people back so they can't flourish. You're holding your customers back because they're reliant on waiting till you're available to handle whatever the issue is. Yeah, we do at Stationary HQ. Our customer service team has always had any problem up to X dollars. I'll just make this up because I don't know the exact amount, but any problem that's up to $100, it's up to you to decide what the answer to that problem. If it deserves a refund, if you think that refunding this customer is the best way we can serve them, then you do that. You don't have to check with anybody. So that's good. And obviously we're taking a risk that they're going to refund lots of people, but we want happy customers that always come back. So, and we don't want to have to check in on we have thousands of customers, so we don't want to have to check back on every single customer that needs a refund. That'll slow us down.
I think that's incredible. Nathan with Nathan and Co. He hates the Home Depot thing where it's like, I need to check for a SKU. Can I get a SKU check on aisle? And it's like the customer standing there and everyone's lining up. He's empowered his team of like, if there's no tag, you can't find it, make a price up. And he's like, and we've yet to lose money. He's like, it may be a little bit lower, but honestly, we've yet to lose money. And our customers are happy. They're not waiting in line. It's not the Home Depot experience. Right. Like they're in, they're out, and they're happy. And it's like it's life changing for, the business. And I think that's the other thing I want to touch on is we've talked to. I had one of my friends who worked for IKEA worldwide, and he went to Sweden, worked there. And when he came there, like a typical American, and, like most of us are very like workhorse and, believe like, look at me, I'm here for all these. He got there and he's working all these hours, and he actually was pulled aside by his direct report and said, is everything okay? Because you seem like you're here a lot, and you're doing overtime, which you're not supposed to. Like, it's going to be here tomorrow. And PS, like, we leave for vacation next week, and I'm not back till September, and you shouldn't be either. And he said that was the hardest thing to get used to. And then fast forward, after being there for 5 years and his contracts end, he's now back here. And it's like trying to keep that balance of it's going to be here tomorrow. Like, I don't need to stay 14 hours to fix it. But the other part of it is like, there's no more month vacation, but that balance of that. And I love that you've created that within your workspace, because I think it's probably the hardest thing for any of us. I can't even imagine doing it myself. Like, I dream of that, but that's why I asked.
Right. Right. It sounds impossible. I know when my client said to me, why don't you take a month off? And I was like, are you high? I mean, I didn't say that to him, but I was thinking it. And, but then the more I let that idea sit with myself, the more I thought, yeah, I mean, I work with like really great people, and we know what the slow time of year is. So why? At the time, I was giving employees more vacation than I myself was taking, which is crazy. So that makes no sense. I mean, you start a business so that you can build something that works with the life that you want, not so that you can be chained to it 24/7. I mean, if you're going to do that, go work somewhere else that will guarantee you a paycheck and benefits, and you'll only work 8 or 10 hours a day instead of 15 hours a day in your own business. So make it what you want it to be. Seriously, there's got to be big benefits to this.
Did you take your vacation already? Is it already passed now that we're heading into a busy season? I'm assuming yes, or July. So yes, you did take a vacation.
Yeah, yes. I took time June. I chilled out hard in June and it was awesome. I had lots of fun. I did projects around my house. I spent time with my little grandkids. Yeah, it was super duper awesome. And it doesn't mean I'm not having other vacations. I am having other vacations
I
too.
was just gonna, that was my next
um,
question. Are you taking time off?
yeah, no, it doesn't. Yeah, I like to go in January. I like to go somewhere warm after the craziness of holidays and when it's cold and rainy here. And I'm like, there's kind of that letdown, that post holiday. You
Yeah.
do rush, and there's been stuff going on, and then it's over, and the weather sucks, and I need to get out of here. So, yes, I'm going somewhere warm at the end of January for a week. So yeah, I try, and not, if I needed to, I might, I mean, I'm connected if I need to be, I can work from anywhere. So,
You such a great balance.
but
So
I
talk
don't.
to me about Stationary HQ because I was kind of nosing around through the website and it's small run and personalized. Like you can create your own journals, book, like you have a binding program, gift wrap, mugs. Like talk to me a little bit. Is it only wholesale or like can
Yeah,
other,
it's not only wholesale, but yeah, we call ourselves a wholesale printer serving designers because you do have to know how to make a print ready file to use our site. So we're not like Zazzle or somebody where you can just type in whatever words and it'll show you in the design that you picked what that looks like. We're a site that's for wholesalers or resellers. Um, and it's set up, it's a pretty sophisticated system, I would say. I mean, it's easy to learn, but you have to know paper stocks. Like if you're looking at designing cards, we have I don't know, 10 or 12 papers for you to choose from, maybe more. And so you need to know the difference between one paper and another paper, or you need to care about the difference between those papers. So we have a tiered system. So people can order retail from our site if they want to, but we have a system where wholesalers start out with 30% off everything on the site all the time. That's your wholesale price. And then as you get up in volume, if you spend, I think, $400 a month with us, you go up to 40% off. And if you get to $800 a month, you get up to 50% off of everything all the time. So, and we have a fair number of clients who they're ongoing all the time. They're doing weddings and party invitations and anything custom or creating their own gift line for sending out to their retailers. So it's really fun. You should see this. If you love design, walking through our warehouse
yeah,
is like so great.
take
It's
us
to
through.
see what people creativity. Oh my gosh, it's so fun.
So walk us through,
So yeah.
walk us through just,
So what it looks like.
yeah, just because I'm super visual and obviously you're not there, but I'm sure everyone would like to hear what it's like to walk through the
I know
warehouse.
I need to do that. I post videos once in a while of our warehouse, but so when you walk out, it's about 20,000 square feet. So it's big with huge machinery everywhere. And we moved over to Fremont. I know you know the Bay Area. We moved over to Fremont, I think a year ago or so. And it was so great. All the leads from all of our different departments, which is shipping, binding, cutting, printing, a lot of different areas. They went to the empty building and they designed exactly how they wanted it set up for maximum efficiency, like from the time a job starts to the way that it moves through our warehouse and out the shipping door, like so that it's the most efficient way we can possibly work and the best way for them to each work within their stations and the people that come before them and after them in the process. And they did an amazing job. And we're this year, I can't, I was in the office yesterday and or at the warehouse and walking through, it's like all clean, it's relaxed, people are listening to music, and we're doing thousands of jobs a day right now. And
Wow.
it's like this well-oiled machine out there. And I think it's because the team decided how it should. This is another empowering your team. The team decided, we didn't decide, that people that actually are back there making things happen figured out how it should work. And of course they did an amazing job because they know what they're doing. So yeah, if you walked out there, you would, at the very back end of the warehouse is where our big presses are. And we have the huge presses.
Wow.
And you could see, you would upload a file, and if you came on the day it was being printed, you would watch it coming out of the press, your sheets with your design on them. Then it would go over to either a folding or cutting station or foil stamping or whatever processes you had chosen for that. Then it would go through a QC station where someone would make sure that every single piece that you're getting looks like it's supposed to look. And then it would go into, it would get shrunk wrap or packed up and then go over to shipping and then ship out. And we do it all, it's 2 days from the time we get your file to the time it leaves our building. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So because I'm not, if you've listened to any of the podcasts, I'm not tech at all. So if say I wanted to do and this is something I really do want to do, is a planner for merchandising. And I'm not an artist at all. And say I hired the person who, we have my logo for it. She hired it, but it's obviously more than just the logo you need. Do I need to have somebody like, this is what each page is going to look like, obviously plan it out, but this is the artwork and that gets uploaded into the file and that's what you guys print off of?
Right. Yes, you would need a designer to set up your planner for you. But yeah, you could print one custom planner that has your name. Here, I can show you mine. I was just thinking I need to work on next year's planner. So I did this one last year. This is Erin's planner. I don't know if you can see it. It says work today. The year things got better and Erin got nicer. That's what mine says, which isn't totally true. The year got better, but we're not that much nicer. So there's that. So this is, mine looks like this. I designed all these pages to be what I wanted them to be. So there's like the week at a glance and then every week. And so, and with every month. So yeah, I designed this and then uploaded my files, and 2 days later it was printed.
I will need an artist
and ready for me.
I can tell you right now, that's not something I'm going to be able to do. That I can print it up. No, I am. Elisa is my nerd herd. Elisa is the person that
Elisa will know how to for sure.
She's the brains to the operation.
There you go. She can make a
but if exactly. And thinking about it, because thinking about how some retailers could use this. So, for a retailer, they could print their personal thank you cards. And you guys do mugs also. So I could have basically gone through you to do my retail mugs. And like note cards, I think you did the, I'm trying to find it. The plan of attack.
The stuff for
So if you're having an event like Pat and Allison, we're having UPP event, they come to you, we want to do thank you cards, we want to do notepads, and it sounds like you don't need giant runs, that you could actually do smaller runs that like a normal person can handle that kind of stock, as opposed to ordering 1,000 mugs like I did.
Right. Yeah, so this is one of the things that we think works really well for small stationery businesses specifically. That it used to be that you'd have to go somewhere and order like 5,000 cards to get them the price low enough to be able to afford to then double your price and resell them. Well, we could print 10 cards for you if you only wanted 10 cards, or one planner for you. And we still have volume pricing. So if you print 1,000 cards, it's much cheaper than if you print 10. But if you are, say you're selling custom stationery sets, monogram stationery sets from your store, and a customer only wants a cute little box of 10, you can just order a cute little box of 10. And if you want, we can ship it directly to them for you with white label. So it doesn't have it. This is a packing slip, no information from us on it. And a lot of our, so our customers are designers, but we have a lot of retail stores as customers because they also offer custom holiday cards and wedding papers.
Wow.
So they're selling their greeting cards, but they're also selling custom stuff. So we're able to serve them
I mean, all I can
really
think
well,
about is like
actually.
there's a girl I'm talking to tomorrow, and she's somebody that reached out on Instagram and it's like, I have a product based company. I'm an artist. Do you mind if I pick your brain? And I'm like, sure. Like, I know product-based businesses for I'm used to doing the wholesale setup for it. But the first thing that comes to mind is she's I believe, a watercolor artist. And it's like,
Mhm.
I could tell her, well, if you want to create your own, stationery line and your own note cards, and this is where you can go to do it, and you don't have to do giant runs. And all of a sudden now here's your wholesale line. Oh my God, that's
Yep.
amazing. I love this. And yet,
Yeah.
wholesale,
No.
and if you're a big wholesaler and you need to do smaller runs with your just introducing a whole different group of merchandise, say whatever publication's doing this, like you can take over, big, I'm assuming big wholesale companies, like, we're going to run this one journal for you.
Yes. Yeah, we do work for, besides Stationary HQ. So Stationary HQ is our company, but it's also a client because we're a printing company that serves other clients as well. So like there's book companies out there that make custom books, and we print those for them. So yeah, we could take on
Wow.
a
So
few or many.
what is your company or your vision of like the perfect client?
Ooh, gosh, that's such a fun question.
Hmm.
I think wedding invitation designers are a great client for us because they love the fine papers, and we do things like white ink on colored envelopes. We do a lot of specialty stuff, and that's a place where people are willing to spend extra to have a really special stationery set. And there are other companies that do what we do, and they probably do some things a lot better than us, but I think we're the best at wedding because it's not that easy. You know how a wedding suite will have, say, 4 or 5 different coordinated pieces. It's
Mhm.
not that easy to print all those different sizes and then bring them all together, and the ink matches, and
Oh, I know that.
the set all goes it's supposed to. Yeah. So we love doing weddings. We have a handful of stores that do custom stationery in addition to carrying gifts in their stores. And I love working with them. They just come up with fun stuff. I don't know. This is a hard question because I love designers and I love creativity. And yeah, occasionally we get someone who is hard to work with, but for the most part, seriously, we have like the best customers.
Well,
They're just fun and smart.
creative
They
people.
are. They're seriously, they're generous and kind and flexible. Like with all the supply chain stuff that's gone on for the last couple of years, it's hard. I mean, stuff happens and shipments don't come in when they're supposed to or whatever. And so we have to ask people to be flexible about, the paper that you wanted isn't going to be here for another month. So, and they've been wonderful about that kind of stuff.
That brings up an interesting point because your production is US production, you're obviously reliant on Chinese paper and paper coming from out of the country. Do you find a bigger flux of people coming to you wanting US goods because it's like, at least they knew, the paper is here already. I don't need to worry about now my product coming. Like, did you see a bump up? I'm assuming yes.
Yes, I know people like that we really are made in the USA, and we do carry some Italian papers, but actually a lot of our providers, the papers made in the United States. The reason that it gets slowed down are things like they have to make pulp first, and
Uh,
let's say some of it was COVID, like there was an outbreak of COVID in the factory, so they couldn't make the pulp, so the pulp is delayed. And then the boat that it was supposed to come from wherever, or the truck or the train, there wasn't enough people to bring it, so the shipment, so it's there but it can't get to the paper factory. So there's a really long line between from the time a, a material is started to when it's finished and sitting in your building. So we have to manage a lot. It's managing that stuff is like a full-time job, just making sure we have envelopes in the right size, and yeah, it's a
I
lot. But
apologize. I made the mistake. I
um,
forget there is still a lot of U.S. production of fabric and paper. I'm so used to so much of it has gone out that it's like rare that
right.
things are still made here. So that's amazing
Right,
that
and there's some things that, yeah, it's nice. There are some things like we print on lunch boxes, which they're so cute, but we're gonna discontinue them because we have gotten those from China because we can't find somebody in the US that makes what we need. And but it takes forever to get them, and you gotta order a few thousand for it to be worth it. So then we're storing a few thousand lunch boxes, and yeah, so we're trying to keep our footprint as small as we can. I mean, we're doing our best, honestly. We pay attention to stuff like this, and we like the idea of made in the USA too. I mean, if we can, that I feel like creating jobs um, and contributing to the US economy is another one of those doing good things while we're here. Like, what decisions can we make that are better for our community than others? That's
yeah,
what we try for.
I love that. I think that what I realized that, I started realizing it before COVID happened was when I was an owner and I had a store and we were bringing in goods that were US goods from vendors, and the complaints of, God, this is so expensive. Don't you have anything less expensive? And it's like, yeah, there's all this cash and carry that's out of China and Korea, super cute stuff as well. Oh, but that's made in China. I'm like, yes. And because this is made here, it's going to be more expensive. That's what union wages go to. That's what a higher working wage it's like you can't, and it's interesting to watch as, things have gone on, and because so many big manufacturers, especially in the gift industry, that everything like Mud Pie and a couple other big manufacturers, like everything is out of China. It's interesting to see now
Mhm.
how not only some of it's starting to go up because of all the obvious, but how some of it now they're starting to put money back into US goods. But a lot of, like what I was saying before, a lot of those factories that created, pottery and ceramic, like they don't exist anymore. And it
Mhm.
that's why a lot of the other part of the puzzle, like a lot of it left because there wasn't a need
Right,
for it. Now all of a sudden everyone wants it again.
right. Well, unfortunately, as consumers, we have allowed ourselves to be trained to want everything right now and cheap. And um, that was not good for for
No,
any of us, really. I mean, I understand that not everybody has a lot of money to spend on things, but I'm going to say a lot of the purchases that are made have a lot more to do with impatience and immediate gratification than whether
100%.
you can afford something. Yeah.
100%.
So instead of being choosy and waiting and saving for something special, we're just like, I'll just buy that right now because it's trendy right this second. And then when something else is trendy, I'll just throw this away and get something else. So yeah, I'm hoping that I feel like in life the pendulum swings to one side and then it swings back to the other. I'm hoping that we're going to swing back to, I see a lot more promotion of small business.
Mhm.
um, I know that in my circle we're trying really hard to always shop small or shop more personal, with people that here's the person who's making this thing. Like, how cool is that to be able to see the person who's making this thing that you're buying? That's pretty awesome. So I'm hopeful it would be good for that to change.
Well, I certainly say, because this poor generation gets so much shit about, not wanting to work, but this generation, I will say, it does favor keeping things small, does favor, reclaimed. That's why the whole resurgence of apparel, and Nordstrom's doing there, I forget what they're calling. I don't know if they're calling it reclaim, but it's like gently loved. I mean, it's basically used clothing. The Nordstrom, I mean, that movement is all of this generation of like, why do you need to buy something new? You can go and buy, so
Right.
you want to wear Golden Goose tennis
Yeah,
shoes.
for
Why do you need
sure.
to buy new?
Yeah.
They have Golden Goose. And that is one thing I will say that is hopefully the pendulum is, because just on the apparel end of it, to see that happening is, I don't think I would have ever seen that in my days at Fred Siegel. There's no way. Cause that, and my days at Fred Siegel were all about freaking excess out the wazoo.
Totally, for sure. Yeah. No, they're the sharing generation. They do get a lot of shit, but I think they're super smart, this younger set, about things like only having one car or not having any car because they can Uber or get a zip car or share with, if they're generous with what they have in
Yeah.
terms of loaning it out. And that's very different than how I was at that age, I would say.
I think the
I think
biggest
they're smart.
the eye-opening one for me was my generation, I'm sure yours, it's the hustle mentality and wearing it as a badge on your sleeve, like, I'm so tired, I haven't had a day off in 4 weeks, and no, I'm grateful, it's great because I'm really busy and my business is great, but I'm just so tired. And it's like, that is not a badge. And it's really interesting to watch. I still say that literally is a phrase right out of my mouth still to this day. But I am realizing it's like not, it's not a badge. It's not, and this generation is very like, hey, I'm done for the day. Although I do wonder, because all big companies obviously were built because all of us put the hours in. So I do wonder where that, but I have to respect that, because the hustle generation is not, it's not really the, the best
Yeah,
thing.
and how much time is wasted in this, you and as an agency person working with big high tech, one of the biggest names you can think of in high tech, we had meetings where we were designing, say they were having a user week or whatever, and we're doing everything for this user week. And there'd be 15 people on the committee to proofread 1,000-page user book. And every single person wanted a printed copy every time there were changes, FedEx to wherever it was they were. So every time we did one, that was probably $10,000 just to proof something because they didn't want to look at a PDF. And why do you need 15 people checking this, by the way? That's ridiculous. So I just, like, it used to make me crazy, even though we were benefiting financially from these super inefficient decisions. But I think there was a fair amount of waste going on. So I think the companies are probably going to be just, I mean, they're all still going with, even gone through COVID and people working part-time, and with layoffs, they still are plugging along. So I, I think we've been had. I think,
Yeah.
I think we got tricked after World War II into thinking that it was all about
Yeah.
putting in all the hours. And I'm a person who's proud of what a hard worker I am too. But there's a lot of different ways to work hard and different things in life to work hard at besides your business and making money. So, and there are times, let me just say this, I take June off, but I'm not afraid to work my ass off when it's time to work my ass off. That's totally okay. It's just it's more not getting into the habit and thinking that I'm not worth anything if I'm not working 10 hours a day, however many days a week,
I
right?
think it's part ego and part, I don't know. I think all of us, you go through life thinking you're not replaceable. It's like, I have to be there. If I'm not there, who's going to do it? And it's like, I learned that a long
Like,
time ago. It's like, I'm easily replaceable by, a million people. And I think that kind of grounds me a little bit, but certainly I think a lot of people think they need to be there to both micromanage it as well as, I guess the ego part of it is take the accolades and look at me and I'm still here. And, but it is interesting, this generation. It's like, if I can take any cues from that, it's like, it's the hustle is not to be meant to be worn on your sleeve as a badge, because it's really not a badge.
right. And if you can, like, if you imagine if you can get results without having to work like a maniac, how much smarter are you if you can get results and not do that?
I gotta figure that
That
one.
should be the badge of honor. I only worked 2 hours this week and my business is exactly where I want it to be.
Oh my
That
God, I
would be
love
wonderful.
that. I always ask people two questions towards the end. And the first is, because you're obviously very creative, is where do you find inspiration for what you do in life, for business, for all of it?
Ooh, gosh, where don't I find inspiration would be a good question. The world is a very visual place. So walking out the door and seeing the different colors of fall just impacted. I just was designing my personal holiday card over the weekend, and it's the colors that I see out my window because they're beautiful right now. I like to go to faraway places and different environments. My environment has a giant impact on my creativity. I know this about myself. I need to have an environment that is visually really pleasing, but it's also kind of zen. You can't see much of my space in here right now, but it's not super cluttered. There's not a lot of shit everywhere. I have a lot of shit, but I store it where I don't have to look at it while I'm trying to work. Um, uh, and I read. I'm a constant reader. I'm never not reading. Words inspire me. When I'm trying to come up with new creative for whatever I'm working on for work, I take out an old dictionary. It's sitting right here next to me that someone gave me when I graduated from high school, which was in 1985. So it's my old, like there's a rubber band around it because the pages are falling out. But I start flipping through the dictionary and reading words and definition. And there's hilarious stuff in the dictionary that you're like, why is that even a word in the English language? So words are big for me. I definitely need to read to get going.
What is your, what, since you read all the time, what are some of your favorite business books?
Oh gosh. You've probably heard about Gabrielle Blair's Ejaculate Responsibly
No, but I'm
book, which is not business at all. Ejaculate Responsibly. It's about it's about not putting all of the responsibility of pregnancy on women.
oh,
So that's not about business, it's just about the world and
that's great.
women specifically. Yeah, so I love that stuff. I just people that I follow that I think have smart, interesting things. The Beautiful Business by Steve Morris is really interesting. Um, I pick up different books, but a lot of the reading that I do is just for fun.
Yeah.
I love murdery stuff.
Murdery stuff. I
I do. I love murdery stuff.
I vacillate back and forth between manifestation books and business books, and then the brainless beach reads. And unfortunately, I have a horrible habit of walking into Barnes and Noble. And when I have, like, no joke, 20 books next to my bed, and I still walk out of Barnes and Noble, I have to, it's at the point now I kind of have to hide them when I come home, because my husband
Yeah.
will, like, really? Two more? You literally have 20 next to the bed stacked up. It's a problem. It's a
Mhm.
total, and I don't want, I'm old school. I can't do it on Kindle. It's like
No.
magazines. Like I'm tactile. I
Mhm.
need to go through it. I need to see where I am
Yeah.
in the book, but it's a problem.
I do. I have an electronic reader because I like to always have another book in the queue. Like I don't ever want to get into bed and not have something to read at night. But one of my favorite things whenever I travel, I try to find a local used bookstore because they're like little amazing magical castles inside, and pick up used books. That's like a fun outing for me. So I have real books. I have a huge library at home, but I do actually use my electronic reader a lot. It's not
Uh,
as fun, but I can hold a lot of books in there.
yeah. A lot of people swear by him now. I just am that weirdo that, I still I still write lists. I'm pen and paper all the way. I'm old school. It's
Oh,
also,
totally.
I
Same.
hate I hate tech too, so that's partly why, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh, my last question, my last question is,
Mhm.
what piece of advice, or what's your best piece of advice for a brand new entrepreneur?
My best piece of advice is learn to articulate your value. Get
Mm,
really comfortable with what it is you're doing and treat your business with the respect that it deserves to be treated with, and yourself. Because I hear and I know you're gonna react when I say this because you said it earlier. When people say my side hustle or my little side business, you're shrinking yourself and your dreams by doing that. And it's a habit. It's something that's ingrained in women specifically to downplay our awesomeness, because that doesn't really fit in with the way society would like for us to be. And so I'm actually writing a new talk right now. If you go to the next Ultimate Product Party, I'm writing a talk about this, how to quantify your success and how to articulate your value, and then get comfortable saying it out loud, talking about your successes and what you're working on. Because I'll tell you what, men don't ever downplay what they're doing and what their successes are, and good for them. Why do we do that? We don't have to do. I know why we do that, but we don't have to do that. So I'm on a mission that's like my, before I die, I'm gonna have all the women shouting from the rooftops about the great thing that they're doing instead of my little side business thing. So is that too long for one piece of
No,
advice?
thank you. And
Articulate your value.
that was such a gift to me too. So thank you for that, because I do say this is my side hustle. It's something that I love more than anything that we're doing, and I know it's growing into this crazy business. Like, but I do say it's my side hustle, and you're right. I think any of us devalue what we're doing by saying that. And oh my God, thank you for that gift. You just turned the
Yeah,
table.
if you think about what this podcast is giving to all the people that get to hear it, the gift, and that because you know people and you're not afraid to reach out to people and you're comfortable talking to people and you're great at asking questions, like, you're really diminishing all the value that is this podcast, which is a lot. It's got a lot of value.
I want to cry.
So
Thank you.
good on you.
Thank you so much for that, but also thank you for your time. I so love talking to you, and it's like you just, I know our listeners are going to take away so much from this conversation. So thank you, thank you, thank you.